Hey, what's up, guys? In this video, Body Fluency, I want to talk about injury, resilience, and recovery, and how that relates to body fluency. I'm making this video after training at a Muay Thai gym just now, and I got two sequential, really hard body kicks here to my ribs, my false rib region right here on the side, and so I have a slight injury, and I say injury in air quotes because I'm not really handicapped by it. It's just sore. I gotta nurse it. I'll be back in the gym tomorrow. It's not a big deal, but it's a good opportunity to discuss this idea of what injury is, what resilience is, and how we can speed along our recovery. Just to kind of expand your model of how human anatomy and physiology works and how the body fluency model explains it. So let's take a step back and think about very, very fundamental first principles of biology. And what are the two things that any organism on this planet has to manage? And that is energy and stress. Stress is the environment is influencing you, putting a force on you, and you have to deal with that. And then in order for you to deal with that and then move, get food, breathe, do all the other kind of metabolic functions, you need to expend energy. Energy and stress are the two things that every organism has to deal with, and therefore the two most fundamental qualities of an organism's fitness is its efficiency and resilience. So efficiency is how well do you manage energy, and resilience is how well do you manage stress. And these two qualities actually kind of exist within a tension with each other, because you can make a system more efficient at the cost of its resiliency, right? Think about if I were to kind of, I want to erect a structure because it's gonna, I need some shade, right? So I'm like, boom, 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 bam, bam. And I just very quickly put up a bunch of like pieces of wood and leaves or whatever. And it's very quick, very efficient. I don't waste any energy. The structure doesn't do that much, but it gets the job done, and it's low cost, low energy. But then, the wind blows really hard, a bird flies into it, whatever, and then it collapses. It wasn't resilient. So I rebuild another structure. I make it out of stone, and I spend 6 months making it, cobbling it together, putting it all there, and boom, now it's super resilient to stress, but it costs a lot of energy to create, and that is where the trade-off occurs. So you'll see this in everywhere. There's trade-off between efficiency and resilience, and the organism, like life itself, had to figure out the sweet spot to manage this balance, and the answer to that question happened to be network fluency. What do I mean by that? Well, again, think about our idea here that the body is a network, that the muscular skeletal system is a network of fibers into soft tissues and hard tissue and bones that can take stress and then manage it in the form of tension and compression. Tension in the soft tissues, compression on the bones. And when you get too much stress at a specific local point, then you can get strain, you can get damage, you can get that bone starts to bend and break, or that muscle starts to pull and tear. And that's a local stress. So you can imagine that every single point within your network has a limit. It has a compressive limit, it has an elastic limit, where at which if the force exceeds that point, then the stress will overwhelm the thing and it will start to deform and break, and then that will now cause energy to have to come in and restore that point. So you don't want to get there. So how do you deal with that? Well, what if you made the system such that no matter where you hit the thing, it that energy diffused through the network, so no single point took on too much, no single point went beyond its elastic limit. So that is the fundamental principle of resilience, is fluency. If I can make the system such that hit me anywhere, and that stress is going to get distributed everywhere, then any single point does not take on that much stress, and we're golden. But of course, we're not perfectly fluent. So what happens is you take a nice clean body kick right here, and ideally, the stress of that body kick will flow through every single muscle in my body, and it might still hurt a little bit here, but it's not that much because it diffused everywhere. But if this thing is not fully integrated, if it's not fully connected to the rest of my body, then it's going to take way more of that stress, particularly the muscles in this area. in this area, the muscles we're dealing with are the intercostal muscles. You have 3 layers of them coming here on the side. So those muscles are what's going to be actually the ones being injured in most cases, especially in my case right now. So then now that's sore, and now I have that injury. So the good news is that part of the reason why I train, when I'm training kickboxing or whatever, my fluency progresses way faster versus when I'm not. It's always progressive because I'm always doing my techniques to connect myself, find gaps, find blocks, fix them. But it's kind of like a random search. I'm just kind of sitting there and finding random pieces in the system. But when you have a real stress on the system, then that stress goes exactly to your weakest link. So when you actually go and you get kicked and you get punched, or you run around and then you twist things and run things, then if you're sore somewhere, where you're sore tends to be the place where you most need the attention. So now my attention's here because of the pain. I'm like, okay, let me start to recover this. And I recover it by doing my techniques. I sit here and then I can bring up my chart or just do it in my head and be like, okay, what are all the different muscles that feed into this node of the side of my false rib? And I'm like, okay, above it, below it, to the side here, blah, blah, blah. And I start connecting all these different muscles to it. And each muscle that I unblock and reconnect to that node leads to a reduction in tension and load on that muscle, which is kind of like chronically contracting right now due to the kind of dealing with the stress of the impact. But each one I connect, that tension goes down. I get a little bit more relief. And now my muscle is able to recover faster. So I get more relief and I get faster recovery. And so, in the next day or two, this feeling will go away. If I didn't do any of my techniques, it might take a week for it to go away, a couple of days, who knows, depending on, what you're doing. But it goes away much faster because I have this mental fluency and I can actually specifically address the issue. But more important than just kind of resolving that particular pain issue, the cool thing about it is that now my attention is brought in general to just this whole region and all the things I need to work on. Because it's not just a specific point. It kind of radiates out here all these different dysfunctions and disfluencies in the body. So now when I'm doing my normal practice, I'm actually more efficient in the sense that I'm giving my body the things that are higher up on its list of priorities. So the final point I like to make here is that when you are a practitioner of body fluency, your ideal workflow basically has 3 parts to it. One is what we discussed before, spontaneous upgrading. You need to just build a habit of just constantly upgrading. Replace your kind of useless and counterproductive habit of stretching with this unblocking and disconnecting kind of techniques, just kind of automatically. So you're kind of gradually, incrementally increasing on a minute by minute basis, really. That's the first bucket. Second is having these more kind of concentrated, deliberate practice body fluency sessions where you might log into the website, click on a specific node like this one, and start figuring out the muscles there, doing deeper connections, deeper unblockings, and getting it all in there. And then third, and perhaps most importantly, it's kind of the anchor for everything, is do fluent activity. Play sports. I particularly recommend martial arts, the striking martial arts, wrestling as well, but that is a bit more intense. So striking martial arts, and the reason for it is because now you're forcing your body to find those fluencies whenever you throw a punch, whenever you throw a kick. And then also if you take a hit, then it's a big red alarm bell to hey, you need to worry about this, because if I was already fluent here and the guy kicked me, I wouldn't notice it because that force would have distributed everywhere. So now I'm kind of like, okay, let me make my body more resilient, the body shots, and in doing so, make the entire body more resilient, make the entire body more fluent, make the entire body more efficient. So because I'm not just kind of making myself able to take body shots better, as I'm doing this and kind of discovering connections I hadn't had before and addressing this issue, I'm also getting my kicks higher, getting them stronger, getting them smoother, because everything's all connected. So fluency is the fundamental principle that solves the problem that every organism has to manage, which is how do I manage stress and manage energy and balance the trade-off between those two things? Okay, what I do is I make this tensegrity network fluency structure and then try to make that structure as fluent as possible, aka remove all the blockages I can find and just let the energy flow. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to go nurse this this thing. It's recovering fast, but still hurts like a motherfucker. I'll tell you what. And I got a black eye for the first time. Can you see that here? So I'm collecting my my badges of honor here in the sport, and enjoying every step of the process. I encourage you to go out there and do the same. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Any questions on what I just discussed, please ask them in the comments. And if you want to learn more, check out bodyfluency.net.